We are coming to you from Disney's Animal Kingdom over here at Dinoland, USA. I'll give you guys a few seconds here to see if anyone wants to tune in before we start doing our walkthrough here. But today we're going to kind of do a follow-up of what we talked about on Wednesday during our Wednesday show. Mainly because I had a few people who asked if we were going to do any live feeds from Dinoland before it closes, which we don't know when it's going to close. We will probably have that announcement tonight over at the D23 Expo. So right now over in California, the D23 Expo is going on, and with it, they are going through and making all the different big announcements. And of course, last November, they announced how Dinoland would be closing up to make way for a brand new land themed around the Americas, featuring things like Encanto and things like Indiana Jones, etc., etc., etc. But they've never announced when the actual date of the land is going to be closing, and I have a feeling it will be today that they make the announcement. I also have a feeling that it's not going to be a massive wait. I think we're going to be finding out here that the land's closing up within the next few weeks here. Friend the crocodile. Oh, there he is. Hey, Kayla. Yeah, so I'm like, originally my guess was that they would be announcing Dinoland would be closing tomorrow. That was my original guess. But then a few days ago, they made an announcement about the new Disney Annual Pass holder magnet. And with that magnet, they did announce that you can get it here in Dinoland up until September 22nd. But there are times where the park people don't communicate with the Imagineering people, especially when they have big announcements on the line. So there's a chance that they might be having that magnet still here at Dinoland or Disney's Animal Kingdom, but not at Dinoland, maybe over in Africa. So we'll see. It's going to be kind of interesting. But today what we're going to do is we're going to do a brief, very short, well, not very short, but short compared to how the actual story goes, walkthrough of this area. And we'll point out a few different fun finds that I really enjoy this area before they disappear. But if you missed it the other day, we were talking about the story of Dinoland USA during the Wednesday show. And during that talk, we talked about how this building is kind of the heart and soul of the entire land. If it was not for Restaurantosaurus, well, we wouldn't have a big storyline here, because the start of the story actually happens right here at Restaurantosaurus. The middle part of the story happens right here at Restaurantosaurus. And then there's current storylines also with here at Restaurantosaurus. So let's do a quick little history of the land, and we'll point out a few different fun facts here. But as the story goes, this was originally a fishing lodge where people would come through and fish. There was only one other building that was in the area, and that was Chester and Hester's Dinosaur Treasures, which at that point was just a gas station that, had no real significance. Besides, if people were coming into the area, they could go and get some gas. So when they went through and had the fishing village, there was a group of friends who came out here. They went fishing one day, and while they were fishing, they came over to the Boneyard area. Now, while they were over at the Boneyard area, it was not the Boneyard at that point, it was just, a spot for them to go through and do some fishing. While they were there, there was one of the gentlemen digging a hole, because, that's what you do when you're fishing. And while he was digging the hole, he came across none other than a dinosaur bone. And when he came across that dinosaur bone, word spread, and a lot of different paleontologists started to set up shop over here at the Boneyard, and it started to get its name. Now, while that was going on, the fishing village went through, or the fishing lodge went through, and they decided to sell half of the location to the group of paleontologists, and they created the very first ever Dino Institute. So if you actually go in, we're not going to go inside right now because I'm sure there's lots of people sitting and eating right where we need to look at, but we'll point out the area from the outside here. But if you go inside of Restaurantosaurus and you go into the dining room that's right over here where this window is, you will be able to go through and find things like old dinosaur bones, old pictures of dinosaurs. And then you can also find a picture of the actual founder of the Dino Institute. So they started to form the Dino Institute, and while that was happening, the paleontologists started to grow more and more and more, and have it so there was more things going on. So they started to bring in more paleontologists. So they added a wing to the fishing lodge right over here, Pterodactyl Terrace. And if you go inside the spot, there's actually an entire area called the hip joint, which is the spot for interns to hang out. Now, while all of this stuff was going on, we're going to go to a different section here to continue our story. But by the way, this is the shortened version. We will have the long version will be in my book that I'm working on right now about Dinoland USA. But when they were going through and doing all of the paleontology sections, we also had another section going on. Now, like I stated earlier, we had it so while all of this was going on at the fishing lodge, there was only one other building in the area, and that was the gas station for Chester and Hester. Now, Chester and Hester were loves during World War II. They got married, moved here, opened this up in the 1940s. And then in 1947, the discovery of that dinosaur bone caused Chester and Hester to come up with an idea. They figured more and more people were coming to the area to go check out the dinosaurs, so they may as well have it so their gas station also becomes a gift shop where people can go through and buy different dinosaur treasures, aka Chester and Hester's Dinosaur Treasures here. Also look over here, because over here you can also find things like the tires, the hubcaps at the top here, and then of course one of the old gas pumps as well. So while they were going through, oh, we got Pluto's coming over here right now too. Hey, Pluto. So while they started to transform their area into more of a dinosaur shop / gas station, we'll go inside here so you guys can take a look at some of the really cool things that they have in here. By the way, there are over 1,000 individual dinosaurs inside of this store right here. But as they started to go through and transform the entire thing, more and more people were continuing to go over to the Dino Institute, the one that's over at Restaurantosaurus, not the one that's a dinosaur. We're going to get to that in just a minute here. Also, just in case those people out there are wondering what Chester and Hester look like, you can find a picture of them right up here. In addition to that, you can also find them up here at the gas station when it first opened up. And right here is the first dollar that they earned. We'll get to that a little bit more in just a few minutes here. So while they're going through, and people were going through and going to the Dino Institute, the people didn't have a place to park. So Chester and Hester said, hey, you know what, we've got this big plot of land here. We may as well turn that big plot of land into a parking lot. So they did an expansion, and they opened up this entire area to become a parking lot, which is why you can find the different parking lot spots here on the ground, different, lanes and stuff. And so more and more people were coming to the Dino Institute. However, in 1978, something amazing happened. We got a brand new Dino Institute because the Dino Institute over here was doing pretty well. And they decided, you know what, we can have it so we add a little bit more to it. We're not going to go over there yet. We'll go over there in just a few minutes. But then they opened up the location of the Dino Institute where the ride dinosaur currently sits. Now, while that was happening, Chester and Hester started to come up with a few more ideas. One, they decided to do an expansion because they realized that, yes, they're making money here at this parking lot, but they could build an even bigger parking lot and get even more money out of all these people who are coming out and buying stuff from them and also going to the Dino Institute. Now, at that point, the Dino Institute did not have a gift shop. It currently has a gift shop. But at that point, it did not have a gift shop. So the only place that people could come over here and actually buy dinosaur items at was at Chester and Hester's Dinosaur Treasures. So if you come down to the end here, we have Chester and Hester's Dinorama parking. It was 50 cents. Now it is $2. There used to be a sign over here until about 3 or 4 months ago that said parking lot full. Welcome to Dukes County. So eventually in 1998, Ironically, the same year that Disney's Animal Kingdom opened up, actually April of 1998 too, which ironically, again, is when the park first opened up, and is also our U.S. county right here for April of 1998 when Dinoland / Disney's Animal Kingdom all opened up as well. Something happened over at the Dino Institute that would change the course of time. There was a new head of the Dino Institute named Dr. Helen Marsh. You may have seen her if you've ever ridden the ride Dinosaur. And Dr. Helen Marsh teamed up with a company called Chromotech, who figured out a way how to travel through time. So what they did was they created this amazing machine called the Time Rover that will literally transport you to the days of the dinosaurs. And when they went through and they created this brand new thing, everything was going pretty good. They were mainly just using it for research. And when they were using it for research, they realized that they could make a few more dollars off of it, or a lot more dollars off of it, if they would actually go through and charge people to travel back in time to the age of the dinosaurs. Now, while all this was going on, Chester and Hester once again were trying to figure out exactly how they could make a little bit more money, and they decided to convert their old parking lot into a carnival called Chester and Hester's Dinorama. So they created a Triceratop ride, looks like a top, like a spinning top right here. And they would also create another attraction, which is no longer here, called Primeval World. Now, the storyline of Primeval World would actually follow the exact same storyline that happens over at Dinosaur. Now, the reason is because in April of 1998, a fateful thing happened to a group of people, 12 people to be exact, that were over in Dinoland, USA. They went over to the Dino Institute, decided to travel back in time, and when they decided to travel back in time, things went awry. Went awry. Because a man named Dr. Grant Seeker decided to change the coordinates so you would not be traveling back to a more peaceful time of the dinosaurs, even though their dinosaurs not very peaceful. But he would be traveling you back in time to a location where the world was about to end. It's the end of the world as we know it. And with the near of the end of the world, he just wanted to have it so people brought back a live dinosaur called an iguanodon. So when that happened, he decided that what he would do, or not he would do, Chester and Hester, what they decided to do is that story became so popular, and a lot of people seem to have the same experience whenever they go over to the Dino Institute, but it became such a popular myth in the area that Chester and Hester decided a lot of people would want to experience that, but probably could not spend the money to go on the Dino Institute because that was costing a pretty penny. So they decided to have a Primeval World follow the exact same storyline that happened on that daring journey through time by those 12 people at the Dino Institute. This kid is like sleeping on the ground. And that's going to bring us up here towards Dinosaur itself. So since 1998, after Dr. Helen Marsh would go through and take over the Dino Institute, more and more people started to come here, and it became an extremely popular location. And it wraps up our entire storyline here in Dinoland, USA. Now, like I said, that is our short version. I try to go through as much as we possibly can, but there's a whole lot more. Like I said, we're writing it down in a book, so you guys can experience a lot more of it while you are, mourning the loss of Dinoland USA like I am. But before we go here, let's do 3 fun facts about Dinoland USA before we wrap up this broadcast. Now, the best fun finds for this area for Dinosaur are actually inside the ride, so we're not going to go inside there right now because it says it is a 35-minute wait, and in case it actually is a 35-minute wait, I don't want to have you guys sit there for 35 minutes like, just show us the fun find, kid. So let's head up towards the location where we first started at. Because when we were talking about Restaurantosaurus earlier, we talked about how there were a few different progressions of that location, starting off as that fishing lodge, turning into the Dino Institute, and now it is a restaurant. And it is, as the story goes, it actually is a restaurant for people who are visiting the area to go to, but it is also the home of the interns for the Boneyard. And in reality, the shop name is Restaurant And those interns have added the word Osaurus to several different things in the area, including Restaurant Osaurus. So if we actually look at the name of it, which we're going to get to in just a few minutes here, not even a few minutes, a few seconds here, you will be able to notice that the sign itself says Restaurant Osaurus, and it's not just Restaurant Osaurus. You can also find that Osaurus added to so many different details. Specifically inside of Restaurant Osaurus, you can find a lot of them. But because we do have all those interns that are living here, they want to go through and they want to have it so there are different things to keep them occupied, keep them busy while they are hanging out here on their days off. There we go, so Restaurant Osaurus. But some of the things that I do love to watch or point out to people is if you look at the roof here, we got the chairs up there. We also have a bow and arrow. And you might be wondering, where are they going to shoot the bow and arrow at? Well, there is a target right up here at the back of the water tower. And then what they would do is people would collect the plungers, which is actually the arrows, and they would put them in the bucket and they would roll it back over there. So that's one detail. Let's do two more. Okay, second one is something that we talked about the other day on the Wednesday show when we were kind of doing our walkthrough of the area. And we didn't have any visuals the other day. I was just, gabbing away. But today we got visuals, so let's take a look at it. So when Disney's Animal Kingdom would first open up back on April 22nd, 1998, the park was not exactly what it is today. We would have Discovery Island, the Oasis, Camp Mini Mickey, Africa, and Dinoland USA. Asia was not a thing yet. So if you were to look at a map of the entire park, the area that is the Oasis would kind of blend into Camp Mini Mickey. They were right next to each other. But Asia just didn't really exist. So when the Imagineers were creating this area, they started to realize that a Stegosaurus shoulder blade looked kind of similar to what it looks like as a layout of the park when you don't have Asia there. So if you take a look at the Boneyard sign, you'll notice that there is an N at this side here. I zoomed in, so I'm there, and here there is Z's that are pointing to the left. In reality, those are N's, and it is a map of what Disney's Animal Kingdom looked like on opening day. Okay, let's do one final detail. And it actually might be my favorite detail in all of Disney's Animal Kingdom, just because I think it's clever. So while we are here inside of Dinoland USA, the entire storyline does take place in the state of Florida, which worked out pretty well for me because we're in the state of Florida. Who knew? Oh, look, there's Goofy. Goofy's waving at Donald. So because of that, we can find a few different references to the state of Florida and the area. But my personal favorite one is the fact that Chester and Hester wanted to make money, decided to do advertisements, of course, on the outside of the shop. And hopefully we don't have anyone who's standing in front of it. Right now we do, but maybe people will just take a few steps away.
You probably noticed that larger-than-life traveling billboard next to the Donald's Dino Bash welcome.
All right, over here we've got this sign that says rough scaly skin, making you groan, don't despair, use fossil foam, which is a cool detail. However, if we go to the other side, oh, there's people right at the sign there. No, wait a minute. And the lady's giving me like a dirty, dirty look right now. Like, what are you doing? We'll swing around. So the first part that's when in Florida, be sure to. And we got the visit here. And the place you should visit while in Florida is Epcot. But that is going to conclude our walkthrough of Dinoland USA today. This is just literally like 2% of the entire land that we've talked about today. There is so much more in this land. There's so much more backstory. There's so much more details. And I have a lot more writing to do. So you guys can learn all about it. But as always, if you guys are not already subscribed to this channel, make sure you subscribe, and we will see you guys once again tomorrow. Until then, have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.